Well, hello, everyone, and happy Thursday. Welcome to UpNorthLive Unscripted. I'm Allie Baxter filling in for Maya Engel tonight. And we've got another fill-in with us tonight as well. We've got meteorologist Trevor Robideau with us. Trevor, it is awesome to be here with you. It is my birthday tonight, so I have kind of like a special forecast. I want to know what's the rest of the weekend going to be so I can celebrate.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, tomorrow, you may have heard, we do have severe weather back in the forecast tomorrow. Lots of rain in the morning that'll pass away early on. And then in the afternoon, a bit of a dry spell. Most spots will be dry. We do still have an isolated shower chance at that time. And then we're really keeping an eye on the afternoon and evening where we do have severe weather potential back in the forecast. A few isolated strong storms will be possible. Outside of that, we are just expecting rain and storms to pass through the region in the northern lower. And we do have, as I mentioned, severe weather potential with that. The weekend overall looks pretty nice as long as you're okay with a few clouds around, a lot more cloud cover than not cloud cover. Otherwise, it looks like a nice weekend. We'll stay slightly on the warmer side, just not quite as warm as we've been the past couple of days, mostly in the 50s and a few low 60s are possible.
Yeah,
at any rate, we'll be talking about more of that severe weather when we come back in just a few minutes.
Yeah, it was definitely beautiful outside today. So we'll check in with you again a little bit later, Trevor. But we're going to go ahead and start with our top story tonight. This is one that I worked on today. We are talking about the Victim Services Unit. This is something that I didn't realize that most sheriff's offices across Michigan have. It's a team that many have, and they're volunteers for your community that they go out to these crises with law enforcement to support those who have kind of been thrust unexpectedly into a crisis. So we're going to go ahead and take you to Benzie County, introduce you to their VSU.
As I'm sitting there in my control area, incident command area, I'm watching this family sit on the beach and just look out at the lake and just wait.
It's a crisis that Benzie County Emergency Management Coordinator Rebecca Hubers thinks about often. A 12-year-old boy on vacation who drowned after being swept off the Frankfurt Pier. As Rebecca watched his family wait for answers, this moment in time inspired her to put together a victim services team.
Our deputies have a job to do with making sure the scene is safe and investigating what happened in a case. And we don't often have the ability to do that and try to deal with a family at the onset of a case. And that's where the VSU comes in.
In Benzie County, it's a team of volunteers made up of 911 dispatchers, a retired school teacher, a social therapist, and more. They're trained by the Michigan Sheriff's Association to work beside deputies at an active scene.
And it helps the family out immensely. It doesn't make them feel like we're forgetting about them.
Sometimes it's not even people who are related. Like in a car accident situation, that they're just thrust into a crisis. And Victim Services Unit for Benzie County is that short-term, like instantaneous, how can we advocate for you? How can we represent the sheriff's office to get you what you need to answer your questions to move forward?
The team was formed in 2021. Volunteers would respond to a few crises each year. In 2024, that number jumped to 17. Of those 17 crises, 7 involved people who were on vacation or not from the area.
We wait until maybe a family member or another support person that they're more familiar with, because we're just strangers, going, do you need a hug?
When a pedestrian was accidentally hit by a car while crossing the street, the team was there. When a boat flipped and a fisherman was missing, the team was there. When a family lost their home to a fire, the team was there.
I've been in those situations. Will say, I don't know how I'm going to call my daughter. I don't know how I'm going to call my sister to tell her what just happened. And I've offered that service where I say, they're going to want to hear it from you. They're going to want to hear it from your phone. But if you can't, I'm here.
In Benzie County, Allie Baxter, UpNorthLive News. And just to emphasize, Rebecca says she does wish this team could provide a more long-term support, but this is right instantly when this crisis does happen. It's a very short-term support, but they are able to connect people with the resources that they need to take that next step. And they are always looking for volunteers if you do want to be a part of the Victim Services Unit. We're going to go ahead now and move over to our continuing coverage on the ongoing ice storm recovery. Now, State House representatives are pushing a bill that would bring millions of dollars in aid to northern Michigan, something that we do need. Now, our Daniel Zivian spoke with one of them about how the money would be distributed.
Northern Michigan Republicans testified in front of the House Appropriations Committee Wednesday.
3 years ago in Gaylord, we had a tornado that came through there that was pretty devastating. But I'll tell you, that pales by comparison to what we're dealing with right now.
Representative Parker Fairbairn says federal disaster relief dollars require a 25% state match. The bill would allocate $75 million from Michigan, hoping to net $225 million from the feds.
That money would go to the Michigan State Police into their budget. The MSP would then have a grant program that townships and municipalities would be able to apply for those grants, and then they would be awarded those grants.
Fairbairn says grant money could find its way to individual homeowners, but is also needed for community projects.
So we have these debris drop sites all over northern Michigan right now where people are able to bring their tree debris to these locations. They're maxed out. They can't, they don't really have the money to afford a tree chipper. Our road commissions, our townships have burned through a lot of their year's budget just in this disaster time.
Fairbairn says the bill was voted out of committee and that he expects bipartisan support. The House could pass the bill as soon as Tuesday. Daniel Zivian, UpNorthLive News.
Now, also in Lansing tonight, lawmakers have a new proposal aimed at addressing violent crime. They say the issue in Michigan is more pressing than ever before, with 4 of the 20 most violent cities in the country being right here in our state. So Mackenzie Decker at our sister station in Kalamazoo took a closer look at how some of the funding in the proposal would be used.
Thursday's proposal for reducing violent crime is a historic one, marking the first time ever Michigan would have annual funding for prevention efforts. Leaders say this could set a standard one day for a model used on a national level.
We see a real problem and we have a real solution to address these needs.
State leaders from both sides saying law enforcement agencies are struggling to reduce crime. With police departments understaffed and their equipment outdated, it's making it harder to curb violence and keep communities safe.
I've seen firsthand the toll that violent crime plays on our communities and our families.
It's why state representatives are introducing a plan called the Public Safety and Violence Prevention Trust Fund. It would total $115 million made from yearly revenue on sales tax. And that money would go directly to helping local law enforcement reduce violent crime, whether it be through intervention programs, better equipment, or services for victims of crime.
The purpose of this is to bring down our state's homicide rate, is to bring down the murders and the rapes and the killings that we're seeing.
The money would be awarded based on crime numbers the last 3 years. Battle Creek, for example, would receive $1 million. Funding gives communities flexibility to respond to their unique needs, such as programs reducing recidivism, leading to fewer victims.
At the end of the day, the first word in any of these discussions need to be about the victims and having fewer victims.
One key part of this initiative, accountability, with the idea that money will be taken away and redirected if crime is not reduced by a certain amount.
It ensures that we don't just respond to crime, we actually work to prevent it, to interrupt violence, and to stop things before it escalates in our communities.
Transcending party lines with one fundamental goal of making communities safer.
That's what this is about. Trusting our local leaders who are closest to the pain, who are closest to the shootings, closest to the violent crime, to get results.
Now, this proposal has only been introduced in the House so far, so it does have a long way to go before it would make it to Governor Whitmer's desk. Now, we're going to go ahead and go back locally to Pine River area schools. Now, they have just officially launched a new online schooling program for their high school students. They said this was a demand since COVID. They had more and more requests to have an option for online learning. So the school has tried some various platforms in the past, but nothing really fit their needs and nothing had really stuck. That is until they teamed up with VLN Education, which the principal says is a customizable program, and this is how they're using it.
Nice thing about this is we could really specialize and tailor this. So like all of our seniors read Hamlet. That's a thing that we do with our senior class. They read Hamlet. We can make it so that they read Hamlet. So let's say that first semester, their family circumstances mean they need to be online because they've got other responsibilities that don't allow them to be here at school. We can put them online. They can come back second semester and be with us here. And guess what? They did the exact same book that they got when they were here live. And so there is none of that gap or anything like that.
Something they are doing to also help students is that 3 days a week from 3:30 to 5 p.m., there will also be faculty at Pine River on site to help those students with in-person tutoring if they need it. Now, this story does relate to our question of the day today, which is what type of school does your child attend? So we've got a few different options here. We've got public school, private school, an online program, or homeschool. And so far, public school is winning with 52%, private school is 28%, online program 5%, and homeschool 16%. And there is still time to vote for our question of the day. You can go ahead and scan that QR code on your screen. And we are taking a look at 1 year since a devastating tornado touched down in downstate Portage. Since then, it's been all hands on deck down there working to reopen infrastructure and replace homes. But 11 months later, residents are voicing their concerns with an increase in wildlife.
It's been nearly 1 year of rebuilding following a tornado, leaving a trail of destruction in its path. But even so, some things remain uprooted.
As I drive around Portage, I see literally acres of debris.
Two Portage residents taking to the podium at a Portage City Council meeting on Tuesday, voicing their concerns about the state of the Gordon Neck State Game Area. One is concerned about an increased potential for wildfires.
All you need is a little bit of wind, a couple of good sparks, and we've got the making for a real disaster.
Another concerned about a pack of coyotes moving in, saying every night at dusk, there's howling all around.
And it's to the point where you can't even watch TV, and they're getting bolder and bolder and more comfortable.
Wildlife Outreach Coordinator with the MDNR, Rachel Lincoln, addressing some of these concerns. Regarding the potential fires, Lincoln says the DNR has fire experts in the department, and at this time, there is no significantly elevated risk for wildfires.
But we will continue to consult with DNR fire officers and experts as we move through the season.
Lincoln also says coyotes are actually very common in Michigan and can be found in every county across our state. However, she says the disruption to their habitat could be causing them to seek new shelter, and that's why people may be seeing them more frequently.
And this time of year, there are a lot of coyote females that are pregnant, and they are looking for a den site, a place to raise their pups.
But there's good news for those who don't want them around. Lincoln says they are fairly easy to scare off just by making a lot of noise.
If a coyote feels like it's threatened in any way, especially if it's a pregnant female, it will leave the area and go find someplace that feels more safe and secure.
As for restoring the area, Lincoln says the DNR does have plans in place, but their goal is not just to clean the space up, but also to restore wildlife habitats.
It's 2,000 acres and it's got a lot of rare plants and species and wildlife that thrive in it. And so we really want to make sure we're handling that habitat very delicately.
And that will lead us into our first commercial break. When we come back, we're going to check in with meteorologist Trevor Robideau. You're watching Up North Live Unscripted.
I'm Jada Johnson from Big Boys TV, and the Fish and Game Report is sponsored by Johnson's Propane.
Welcome back to Up North Live Unscripted. We're going to go ahead now and turn things over to our meteorologist, Trevor Robideau. And Trevor, it was really nice outside today. We hit the 60s. There was some sunshine. I feel like it's the weather a lot of people have been waiting for after a very long winter.
It certainly is. Many people have been begging and begging, asking me all the time, when are we done with the snow? And please tell me we're done with the snow, right? And I think for the most part we are. Barring any major changes.
No promises, but it looks promising.
I always tell people that we can get snow as late as early May, so no promises yet, but we hope we are done. Now, on the other side of that same coin, when you have nice weather for an extended period like this, you always wonder, all right, come on, what's the deal? When's it going to change? Right? Well, that's going to change tonight. So we've had extended nice weather, lots of sunshine and warmer temperatures. Now it's changing. First, I want to take a look at our peak wind gusts. We've had gusty winds today out of the south for most people, especially west of I-75 and also to the south. And those heavier wind gusts combined with drier conditions have meant that we've had wildfire danger today. Once again, very high conditions, very high risk for wildfire danger. So as a reminder, for the remainder of today, before we get rain, to continue to not burn anything or to not burn anything ever. You shouldn't do it anyways without a permit. But we do have the elevated fire danger until we get some rain back in the forecast. That'll happen tonight. There's a look at our three big things. Warmer temps. Once again, tomorrow will be a little bit cooler, but not too cool for Easter weekend. And with those storms moving through the region, we do have severe potential where we're tracking potentially wind and damaging hail in the forecast. There's a look at the surface map. The low pressure that's going to be impacting us is passing through Minneapolis, going up towards the east, towards our direction, and there is some rain embedded within that, and also lots of cloud cover. You can see the cloud cover that's been encroaching over us here in the past few hours, and the rain and storms getting ever so closer to us. You can see the line of stronger storms and showers that have passed through Minneapolis and are now headed towards areas of Wisconsin. That's heading our way, and it'll be here by past midnight. For the remainder of tonight, no real problems. It'll continue to stay dry with those increasing clouds. An isolated shower or two is not impossible, but again, the brunt of this rain won't really get here until well past midnight, where we're tracking some of those storms and showers through the region. Most of what we're going to get tonight is just some soaking rain for some. And then through the morning, we'll be tracking those rain showers. Again, on and off. I think the later morning and the early afternoon looks mostly dry, a few isolated showers. The real concern that we're looking at is well into the afternoon and evening, where with those higher temperatures and abundant energy, we are expecting some storms back into the forecast, and some of them do have the chance to be isolated strong. We have the chance to have some of those on the stronger side, isolated. And again, the main risk that is associated with this is going to be damaging winds up to 50 plus miles per hour, and even some damaging hail, and where we do have the severe and the marginal and slight risk with that. Beyond that, we're expecting just a lot of rain out of this system. It looks like a good soaker for us. We really need this rain, and we're going to get a pretty decent amount of it in a lot of areas. We'll probably get at least an inch or pretty close to that, especially in the north and lower. Tonight, 38 to 51 increase in clouds with those rain showers moving in late. A few storms are possible. The majority of our storms will hold off until later in the evening tomorrow. Again, hail and stronger winds will be possible, and the chance for a tornado is also not impossible, but it's unlikely. Cooler temperatures for the weekend with some cloud cover, and then our next system beyond that, another soaking rain on Monday.
All right. Thank you, Trevor. We're going to go ahead and head into our next commercial break. We'll be checking in with Sports Director Harrison Beebe when we come back. Welcome back to Up North Live Unscripted. Our sports director Harrison Beebe is out in the field tonight, but he did leave us a Jimmy John Sports Corner about the Gaylord softball team. Now, they are back-to-back state champions, and this year they are going for the three-peat. So he caught up with the team, checked in on them as they get ready for their season while dealing with the aftermath of that devastating ice storm.
The following segment is sponsored by Jimmy John's of Traverse City.
To deal with the record-setting ice storm. Just tell me day to day, what was that like?
We had spring break off. Everybody got back, had the ice storm, so we were off another week with that. I was without power for 7 days where I was at, and I know some of these other girls were, 12, 13 days without power, but we got back at it as soon as we could, and we talked to the girls and said, hey, do what you can, make the most of it. We want to bring a state championship back to the community, show the resilience. Sometimes in life you get dealt some cards you don't necessarily expect, but you just bounce back and still get the job done.
What is that mindset like of, building a new team up, but also encouraging those same goals that teams in years past have accomplished?
We've got 7 returners from last year. These girls, they've been waiting in the bullpen ready to get going themselves. So, they put in as much work as all the other girls.
What is that like to balance those expectations with the fact that accepting this is a new team?
Yeah, definitely very new team, very different culture. We're not really worried about winning games early in April like right now. We're just focusing on learning and growing as a team. We're more worried about winning games in June. So just staying present and working hard every day.
What is it like for you specifically balancing this team with, the excitement of knowing that you're going to be playing big time Division I softball next year?
Yeah, just trying to stay present, leave an impact on the team, and try to help everyone as best I can. Not too focused on that right now. Focus on the goal here first before I go on to my own journey.
Are you hoping to go out, setting a new standard for your home run totals before this season's done?
My goal is 30 this year.
Do you know how close that is to MHSA career records?
15.
Tell us, how does someone hit so many in so short a time?
Just like the process that I've been working since I was 8 years old. Obviously, I was not the greatest back then, but just staying consistent in my work and doing work when no one's watching through the off-season and stuff, just ready to be my best and making the most of the chances that I get.
I've been around Aubrey since she was 8 years old, and the work and the time that Aubrey puts in is just second to none. And not just that, it's not just that. She's encouraging her teammates, which is really good for our younger players, and we couldn't ask for a better leader to sustain what we've been able to accomplish the last few years.
What about this team? What else do you like about this year's group?
Honestly, is the way we practice. We practice hard. That way we could try to make the games a little easier. And, our younger players step right in and they're focused and ready to go. And I really think that's been really key to us. And honestly, we go back to Aubrey's leadership and making sure that those young players stay focused and ready to go, and that they know we have a goal and we want to accomplish it. This is a new team. I don't want to compare this team to last year's team because this is a completely new team, and I honestly don't feel it's fair to the previous players and the new players because you don't want to be compared to that. You want to build your own things.
Salon services are furnished by Epiphany Advanced Academy in East Acme.
Welcome back to Up North Live Unscripted. Let's take one last look at our question of the day. What type of school does your child attend? Now, our results have changed a little bit. Public school is at 53%, private school at 27%, an online program at 5%, and homeschooling at 15%. And you do still have time to vote on that question of the day. And thanks for joining us tonight on Up North Live Unscripted. We'll see you back here tonight for Up North Live News at 11.